The impact of how the bass changes the energy is magnificent here. Right there. What's up, guys? Welcome back to Low End University. Global Warming is from Gojira's third studio album, From Mars to Sirius, released in 2005. And bands like Gojira are just long overdue on the channel because early on I was covering extreme metal a lot more frequently. But this playlist is just looking plain sad, so let's fix that. First things first, it was incredibly fulfilling to see a band like Gojira play for the Olympics. The whole opening ceremony bit, that was just legendary all around, and although that was a few months ago, it reminded me that this is another band I've not really given my full attention to and explored properly despite being a metalhead. I do get requests for them, especially for this track, Global Warming, so I'm going to check out a live in-studio performance, Silver Chord Studio from May 2018, to really see what's going on. So without further ado, let's revive the heavy side of the channel with Gojira. Tapped. Okay. That snare is so loud. I love it. Okay. My experience with Gojira was really just magma. I remember when that album came out, a lot of people were talking about it. I liked everything I heard. Just it's on to the next thing. And I just never gave them the proper light of day. I know we're going back to an earlier iteration of the band, but it's great to do these live videos sometimes to see what's going on, especially when it's heavier, more technical. Sometimes it's hard to just hear the bass and heavier music. I don't know if this will be super heavy. It's definitely got a technical edge, but I'm really enamored with drummer Mario. Do you know his name? The ghost notes on the inner beats are really thickening up that groove because having played technical stuff, sometimes when everyone's doing something kind of technical, both guitar parts, especially this kind of tapped thing that doesn't have like a big weightiness to it, it's not chugging yet, those inner beats on the snare just sonically can kind of fill out that riff. So I like the way this is kind of orchestrated and crafted. They're kind of doing a sixlet, triplet, 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 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And what's cool about the bass is that expectedly so, it's not joining in on that. Maybe not quite yet, I don't know. But it's giving that weight and putting context under what chords the guitar players are outlining. So he's kind of gone between F sharp and G sharp. So it's kind of building. Let's see where it goes. Cool way to start it. That's a badass drum groove. Holding it out. Wow. That's so cool. It's just so brooding. The only thing that's changed here, aside vocals coming in, we have the same guitar part. The impact of how the bass changes the energy is magnificent here. We started out this kind of sixlet tapping riff, whole notes, if you will, on the bass. He's just down there holding it down. Drum groove and guitar parts are retaining the same energy. And again, all that's changed here other than the vocals coming in is this bass has gotten a bit more sparse. It's kind of started having some syncopation, some groove, and recontextualizing the tonal center of those tapped guitar lines. And really, in a composition like this, whatever note you play on bass is going to kind of determine how it comes across. You can hear as the root notes change that sometimes it makes the guitar part sound a little more tense. Sometimes it makes them sound a bit more natural. That's a cool, powerful thing about the bass part here. And if you can, I don't want to say ignore the vocals, but just listen behind them to what the bass is doing and how the guitar parts kind of, how their presentation changes depending on what root note he's on. Right there. Awesome. The whole way they work together. It's awesome. Still building. I just want to comment on how lyrical it's getting. Largely down here in F sharp minor. And these really just kind of broken up grooves that are fitting in, not in your typical way with the sort of shuffle, I guess you would call it. It's almost like the Rosanna beating away, just a bit heavier. So doing the just really exaggerated slides. Just all around that scale. And we're still building here, so I know it's going to probably explode. Let's keep it going. This sounds huge. What I like here too is that the drum groove has gone away from this shuffly thing. We're now in just big riff and groove, right? Something about the way the whole band is phrasing that riff. No, it's got that kind of weighty side to side, makes you almost kind of want to move. That's sort of what the bass part was implying earlier on. It was kind of doing that. So if that was like a really intentional way to build off of the bass groove, I find it to be brilliant. It perfectly suits the whole build happening here. We're getting heavier and heavier, but a lot of subtleties that aren't hard to hear, but they're really kind of slow burning and just adding one little element at a time. And I think it really stemmed from the kind of cadence of that bass part earlier. So that's very cool. Very smart. Cool, right back to it. I love that note. I don't know, it just makes it a little more tense going out of that phrase right here. I think he's jumping up a tritone there, which would kind of make sense. Yeah. So using notes outside of the scale, I think he did this early. I'm just hearing it now. So somewhere really smoothly in those note transitions, we kind of have this root movement, if you will. So, you know, kind of lends itself to that brooding sound. lending itself to the beefiness of this riff too is that they're not just playing your typical power chords. They're inverting some things, a really beautiful marriage harmonically just between the bass and the guitar notes there. So, not your typical power chords. Doing a lot of this kind of thing where fourth just gives it that heavier sound. Maybe some like this kind of thing. Maybe some sixths in there. It's real low and it's blended really well. This is a fantastic production. Hats off to whoever mixed this one. But working really well. Just all the perfect notes in the bass to make that section really beefy. We're back into this kind of sludgy thing. Let's go back to about here. Damn, this is sick. E flat. This kind of thing. Real half-steppy as well. One thing I'm going to say too, I kind of remember having this observation here in Gojira, off and on in the past. I always thought vocals, despite being harsh, the articulation and enunciation is very clear. I'm not really good at picking up words and lyrics out of harsh vocals. I think some people can do that really well. Depends on the singer. But I can just hear it's not this wash of distortion. It's very clearly enunciated. Almost sounds like his drive, if you will, vocally. Not a vocal channel, but going to comment on it here because I remember thinking that last time I heard them that it was just enunciated very, very well. It almost kind of reminds me of like Mastodon vocals where they're harsh, but they got the gain pulled back a little, and it really helps for it to kind of cut through, especially in these denser mixes. So just got to give hats off across the board. Right here. It's really clear to me. Okay. The more this groove kind of sinks its teeth into me, it almost feels polyrhythmic in a way because you have this really straight, prescribed thing happening in the drums. Dun, dun, ga, dun, 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 ga. Really driving it. But when you zoom in closer, you can kind of realize it's being swung in a way. Sometimes with the bass parts, that part from earlier hasn't quite returned yet, but it almost feels like he leaned into the dump. Ba-digga-digga-dunk. But when you kind of remove the inner beats and you just listen to that kick and snare, 1, 2, 3, 4. So it's hemiola-ish in a way, feel-wise, but they're not leaning into the way, the rhythmic dissonance too much, if you will. So it kind of presents two different feels depending on who you're listening to. That's a really cool part of this groove. It's kind of becoming more natural to me. Dugga, 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 swing, a swing, a swing, a swing. Verses, straight. 1, 2, 3, 4. Very cool to me. Let's see, what is that? So outlining the F sharp minor. Cool riff. Ooh, the way the bass line and the vocals have kind of joined in here. That's a subtle change. It wasn't quite that unison-ish earlier. I was just talking about this exact concept in the Radiohead video I did a while back. I remember saying the same thing. Little subtle moments where the bass and the vocals are kind of in unison. And the way it kind of almost abandons what was going on before in the bass line, and it's jumping up there to support the vocals. It's a really cool composition move because it draws your attention to the vocals, and he's really got a lot of dynamic cleanness to the voice here now. And that's just a cool way the two layers have kind of merged together at this part of the song. There's a lot in the details here I'm really loving. Very effective. And what that does too, I think the bass determining the tonality of a chord, when the vocals kind of mirror it, it almost feels like the vocals are contributing, not just as a melody or just something way up here. It's almost contributing to the chord itself in a very strong, powerful way. That's the effect that has on me. I like that move there. That little tap slide thing there, that was a cool layer. Cool little bell and whistle thing. Did I go too far? Very cool. A little harmony coming in on guitar. Golly. They just keep beating that new melody into your head. And I don't know, something feels very just kind of chilling about it. I don't know. I think when you do certain things like that enough times in a song, you start realizing, okay, this isn't just this part of the song. This is like defining the whole way. It's sort of wrapping up. They want you to remember that melody, the feeling. I don't know, it's got a very haunting character to it. Almost kind of falls into that Andalusian cadence. Even though it's not major, the root movement's the same though. Provides that same tension. And again, when you drive it home, layering it with the vocals doing the same thing, it's a profound effect in the arrangement here. It just keeps getting more intense. It's a really interesting harmonies. They wrote on that intro for a really long time there at the end, a good 30, 45 seconds. And I find power in how the song leaves you with that same part in the intro. It hits differently now that you've heard the whole song. I love when bands do that move. They start a song with something very particular, and it ends the exact same way. But when you hear it the second time as it fades out, you have this new outlook on the song's subject matter. Again, didn't hear a lot of the lyrics. Global warming. I've read some of the track listing for the album, so I know it's very much in that vein. I'll have to go back and look them up. But musically, I felt like I got the sentiment perfectly by the vocals getting more intense. They're adding little harmonies, and it kind of explodes, and it's just weighty, and then they brought it back down and did it again. Then they left us on this sort of bridge where the bass and the vocals had this perfect marriage of driving that melody home. I love the note it left me on. So this has really been an awesome reintroduction into Gojira. I felt like I had a bit more of a dynamic side based on what I've heard, which was really, really heavy and intense. So I kind of like this melodic take on their sound, which, I haven't heard a lot, but this was killer. But thank you guys for hanging out with me for this one. This has been my reintroduction into heavier genres here on the channel. It's been too long. This was a great way to bring it back in. And I'd love to know what other bands from this side of things I should be checking out. I always find the bass players to be really talented at having nuance under all the heaviness and denseness. And I love like zooming in and kind of seeing what their approach is for these heavier technical riffs. So let me know in the comments who I should do next. And if you'd like to support this channel further, come find us over on Patreon. I do full albums there. I have bass lessons and such if you want to learn from me in that way. And if you enjoyed this, please make sure you're subscribed. I love you all. We'll see you in the next one.